And you're live.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first. Is this second game? First game? I have no idea.
First game.
First game? Thank you. I am really bad at paying attention to my notes. But we have 8 points left versus Minions Rise of Gru today. Hopefully, it's going to be an interesting game. I am joined with True.
Hi, Loaki. Nice to
Loaki.
finally cast with you.
Nice to see you as well. First time talking, I believe, but hopefully it is a good one. And as you know, I did not practice for this intro.
Yeah, I mean, we also have Ice Fire Ride on the production, so thank you to him as always. But otherwise, we do have a pretty big game. Obviously, week 2 of draft ahead of us. As you said, 8 points left versus Minions Rise of Gru. Both teams, I think, are just about ready to get their draft started. But you were talking about the ranks of these players, and obviously because we're in draft league, you're going to see some degrees of disparity across leagues or across teams. And we are about to head into draft shortly. And as you can see here, Minions Rise of Gru putting high priority on that Yone.
Yes, indeed.
You see all over the place nowadays.
That most certainly can just be a pick specifically for a counterplay. Someone has it on the other team, and you just don't want them to have it, period, in future games, including this one. So all around, it's not a bad pick, although it's not fun to play against.
Yeah, it's really strong in general. It can be flexed to top mid. Like right now, obviously everyone's watching it perform extremely well at Worlds, and even on current patch, Yone is doing quite well for himself. So it's not much of a surprise that with Draft League here, there are no bans.
Oh God.
And it's true fearless draft, so everyone gets to pick what they want each game. It's always going to be different compositions game to game. So why not just get the Yone out of the way?
Correct.
The other side of it, though, 8 points left. They go with the Caitlyn, who just got buffed on this patch. There's some slight buffs, a few damage ratio, as well as some attack speed ratio, as well as Sejuani, who is just in general a great tank.
Yes, quite frankly, she is one of my favorite junglers to see played because there's so much capabilities and uses you can go for with very simple abilities at that, and hopefully leads into some good team fights as well, mainly with that engage and the Q as well.
Yeah, and even compositionally, you can talk about strong synergy with your solo laners, and it looks like
Seraphine.
Okay, it is Seraphine. They just didn't hit the lock-in button quite in time. So Seraphine Yone so far.
Yes, and that's what I also love about the draftable. You will have these very common issues to where we technically have no idea who it is, even though in chat it was Seraphine, and I'm curious who they are going to match it up with, even though it might not show it. It looks like it is a Viego, which all around not a bad pick.
Looking like a potential dive, or like a dive-ish comp coming in from Minions Rise of Gru. You have Yone, who has that Fate Sealed. You have Heartbreaker from Viego. But the other part of it is that you can also combo that with the Encore from Seraphine. You can catch out entire enemy teams with how long that ultimate can reach, and you can just path it through the Viego, path it through the Yone, and just extend that ult's reach out. It looks like that 8 points left. Their response is the Akali, also coming in with some potential dive, but I do like that it's a melee champion. You can combo that with the Sejuani, get those stuns in lane for those ganks.
Yes, and then I'm just going to go off a little bit of prediction here. I believe Gru team might be seeing a Zac jungle. I'm expecting someone tanky, to push around, maybe even a Maokai, even though it has not been seen in a good amount of time in any professional play, I believe. Although I'm not up to date on that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't disagree with something like that. As you said, Maokai, even though you haven't seen it, gives you some engage, gives you some front line. Also flexible between his positions, but it looks like that's going to be a Maokai Seraphine bot lane as the Garen gets locked in to round out Gru team's composition. Also, I do like Gru team. I'm going to take that one from you. It's very nice. But this is a lot of physical damage from Gru so far.
Yes.
Yes, you do have the Seraphine, but Seraphine's damage ratios aren't what they used to be. She is more of a build Blackfire Liandry's sort of magic damage source, as opposed to having any sort of outright burst. So honestly, Gru putting in an extremely physical damage oriented comp, and you think about something like that into a Sejuani, you really have to be careful.
Yes, and then as always, I love the Garen top lane. You know,
Mhm.
spin to win. You gotta see the Beyblades, and I'm not exactly sure how effective it is against an
It could be mid
Alawi.
lane Garen.
It could be a
That's the
mid
other thing.
lane. It most certainly could. It's very intriguing to see how they would play this one, mainly due to just the stopping power on an Alawi. She is just not fun to play against. So it just
Mhm.
depends on how they want to spin it up. I assume both members are probably pretty good on either one of the characters, and it can spin both ways here.
Yeah. I mean, I do think it's really interesting that 8 points left. You know, they do have these double melee solo laners, so you're thinking about what the gank priority for the Sejuani is going to be, and you can definitely see that going towards those solo lanes very early on. But then in bot lane, 8 points left, they have Karma Caitlyn. You know, like this is a bot lane that doesn't really have to interact with you unless they want to. You're thinking that's going into a Seraphine Maokai. That's really dependent on the Maokai pulling the trigger, right? You need to look for something like a Flash W or a Hex Flash, Twisted Advance. I think that's the ability name. And yes, that can certainly work, and that can catch out champions. That can catch out like Karma, catch out a Caitlyn, especially when you think about, you know, let's say roaming from the Yone or jungle
Mhm.
attention from the Viego. That can definitely force kills. But on its own, in a 2v2, it's very, very telegraphed. So Caitlyn Karma, I would expect to be capable of staying safe against the Seraphine Maokai in the 2v2.
Correct. Yes, the only real variable in that fight would be the Viego, which more than likely will have a former prio going down that way,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully attempting to secure at minimum one kill there. But hopefully the bot lane knows that and is just very wary of it and just doesn't allow it through.
You know what you know what's one thing that's really unexpected about this whole like no ban situation?
Mhm.
Draft is so much faster. It
Oh,
is
yes. And
it
also, you
is
just get to see the
wildly
intriguing
convenient.
bands they pick as well, because we still do a standard tournament draft. So
Mm-hmm.
you just automatically see, you know, Teemo, Aatrox, some of them are lazy, just do the first character
Yeah.
letters right at the top, and then the rest just band characters they hate.
Yeah. I mean, I believe for game two, you know, you just ban out the things that you previously picked in the first game. It's easier that way. Um, but yeah, I mean, like this is the very unexpectedly convenient thing. I do actually really appreciate this because you get right into the action. It's great.
Oh, yes. And
But that
with
being
that,
said, yeah.
be my guest. Be my
Well,
guest.
but that being said, you know, we'll be back. We'll be back shortly. We're going to go to a quick break, and we'll come back with game number one.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first game of Gru versus 8 points left. We are looking for an exciting game today with possibly a simple 5-point happening. How are you doing after that break?
I'm all right, but taking a look at how these teams are fanning out here, nothing too surprising. As you said, looks like a fairly basic 5-point. Nothing to shock the world. The only thing that I will point out in terms of setup here is that ZZ does have Ignite on this Garen, so I will
Okay.
say that it's Morbin time has to be careful of that. I mean, like the number of times that you have a top laner on your team who's like, "Ah, crap, I'm dead," and it's like, "Well, what happened?" It's like, "I forgot he took Ignite." It's like, okay, well now you have to remember that.
Certainly a concern that Morbin Time can be dealing with here, because it also does counter him a very decent amount, just because Alawi heals a good amount. And I believe that's a 40% Grievous wounds coming out from Ignite will most certainly hurt in these early sections of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. The healing is based off of Alawi's missing HP, I believe, but as you said, that Ignite will pretty much completely neutralize that, especially this early.
Correct, yes.
Before those kills.
Later in the game, I don't think it will have nearly as much of an effect just because of how many targets she can hit, but any advantage is an advantage. And with this here, we just have very, very simple trades going on. Just trying to get some CS, get some damage in. Nothing to be excited about, quite frankly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't expect to see a lot of action. I mean, personally, my eyes are on Synctra just because we have this Alawi, you have the double melee solo lanes. So assuming that, Alawi and Kali with a Sej. But top lane, though,
speaking of which, there's a massive fight happening in this top lane. And in the bot lane, Maokai is going down very low right now. And they just get a nice little disengage. And Garen is also very low up here as well. But he is going to Ignite already popped. And he is spinning to win this. And that's a flash coming out from Morbin Time. And Morbin lives to see another day.
I mean, honestly, that still ends up being somewhat favorable for Morbin Time, right? Because even though you're forced to back here, the wave state isn't shoved directly into your turret yet. You get the back, you get to TP back in, so you don't lose out on too much. But ZZ on the other hand,
engage coming out on both separate members of the bot lane here. Maokai just getting pecked down, and there is a ward in his bush. He is more likely going to go down with a flash coming out from both members. And Seraphine is just getting whittled down. I'm not sure if she will go down here, but we might be seeing that headshot gets her very low with a disengage happening from both members.
Solid discipline from Shinx to not burn the flash there, right? You already know the Caitlyn flash, so you should just be able to walk it out. Unless Bubble Medic were to go in as well, but I don't really think they want to commit that deep. But
I mean, I will state, I believe StarCraft did pop the flash to secure the kill on the Maokai there, actually. Earlier on.
That's why I was saying that Shinx isn't worried about the Caitlyn flashing. Yeah,
Shinx, apologies.
Yeah, because StarCraft player, as you said, did flash to secure the kill, but...
And here's the Viega that I was talking about just a little bit earlier, but I don't think... The flash...
Well, there's the stun!
And there he goes! So Johnny showed up just a little bit too late to get into the party.
Yeah, I mean, in that circumstance, Bubble Medic, obviously can flash to stay alive, but I guess elects to hold the summoner. Doesn't want to worry about it. Also, it did get these flash out of court JJ, so that's one more tool that's not available for this Viego. Potentially, stopping.
And here we have an engage coming out from the Sejuani. The E is going to pop off, and he does get a beautiful stagger to stay alive. And he makes it out with 50-odd health.
Yeah, I mean, it's also flash for flash in mid lane, right? Sao also burned flash, so both of those tools are now down. The disadvantage, such as it is, though, is just that now Yone... Oh, I was going to say, needs to be cognizant of the fact that Sej might still be in the area, but
he does know the Viego is there. So, with this, we might be seeing a fight happening in the mid lane again. Both of the junglers are stalking around, being a little bit creepy, waiting for some action to happen.
And both the mid laners, similar HP values, but it looks like Court is going to start his back. Start their back, rather. It's, maybe no more aggression from mid lane at this moment.
At least not for some time. And with the next dragon up right now, what do you think we'll be seeing? Do you think we'll be seeing a little bit of different play, some shove up waves, or anything else along those lines?
So this is something that I think you kind of have to look at the comps around this, right? Because junglers that have their lanes that really want to push out can benefit massively from grubs. I know that as far as what a jungler's preference is, grubs are, I think, the preferred thing currently over taking an early dragon. But that being said, looks like both junglers are pathed around here to the top lane.
We are seeing TP bot lane, by the way. And Garen is going in onto Morbin time here, and he's all the way on level 6. However, Sejuani is here to clean up the fight. Flash coming out from the Garen, and it looks like that is just going to be Garen making it out alive.
Yeah, and Cincture is able to pull that off because of the vision setup that 8 Points Left have there in the topside river, in the topside jungle. They
yes, indeed.
Have absolute vision over where Court JJ could be outside of like the top lane bushes. So yeah, Cincture can just walk in, force the flash out. Now this Garen is flashless, but Garen is also manaless, and Alawi is reliant on mana, so Morbin time actually in a bit of a tighter spot here.
Correct. However, he did just hit level 6, and here we go again. Sejuani coming in. Viego does show up. Garen does get set up a little bit more. However, no mana on this Alawi. Alawi does get killed from the Garen ult, and spinning to win, going just a little bit farther in on the Sejuani, and she will be forced to back underneath that tier 1 tower.
Yeah, very solid gank from Court JJ coming through. Like, knows where the Sejuani is. Can also see that the Alawi has no resources left, right? Like, if you're Cincture in this position, you're thinking like, okay, I can pull off the top lane gank, but then the Viego sweeps in from behind, then you realize that Alawi can't cast ult because Alawi's and, everything just goes to bits. But it looks like Group angling towards these grubs.
And it looks like this might be a 3-man on this Kali here. She does get chunked down quite a bit by this Viego, but she just makes her way out without taking much damage. And it looks like with that, the second grub of the game will be secured very shortly. And it is secured, and the third grub will be secured in about 2 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's a very fair decision from 8 Points Left to just be like, okay, take it, take all 3. As far as the landscape goes for grubs, right? If one team takes 3, then the other team, like, the main thing that's on their mind is like, okay, well, all we really need to get is 1 to deny both Void Mites from spawning. So it's not the biggest deal that we have to worry about.
Yes, as long as you don't lose all 6, you're in a relatively good situation.
Yeah.
And with this, Viego is creeping on this lane. However, Garen is a little bit too quick. The Alawi sees it coming, but does take a cue to the face.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine with Alawi, right? Like, the other thing is, like, it's Morbin time. Does have Flash available now, so the Alawi is relatively safe. The other problem with it, right, is that Court JJ, you don't want to hard commit into ganking an Alawi when you're not 100% certain you can get the kill, because Alawi does have ultimate available. You can spawn all those tentacles, and those do so much more damage. But after seeing Court top lane, it looks like the response from 8 Points Left to start up the dragon.
Correct. And let's be honest here, that is the right play to do there. I mean, firstly, you're already down 3 grubs. You might as well get your advantage somewhere else. And the Ocean Drake is definitely complementary to their team comp right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of healing, right? So that little bit can go a long way, especially while you're still here in laning phase.
Correct, yes. Especially against the Garen in the top lane, when you are more than likely going to get chunked down a little bit. Even if you are Alawi, it's nice to heal passively while you're just sitting in lane.
Yeah, absolutely. And taking a quick look at everyone's itemization so far, nothing too shocking from any of the champions thus far. And you can see that...
yes. And we might be seeing a little bit of a gank happening in this bot lane. The bot lane combo does know that Viego is there. However, now we're back on Morbin time, and now we're back mid.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like that it could have broken out into a 3v3 in bot lane, but as you said here, mid, Sao, just below 50% HP, but the Akali's able to stay safe.
Yes, indeed. And with that, I really would have loved to see what exactly happened in the bot lane, but it appears nothing really of note. Just some slight trades, both members of the junglers seeing the junglers as well, and not want to make a lot of damage. We are seeing a whole lot of damage on. Maokai does go farther in, and they've just barely misses, and actually does get on to this Caitlyn here. She is going to get very, very low. She does have to flash out, and she does get stunned a little bit longer, and she might go down. She does get the kill onto the Maokai first. However, Caitlyn is going farther in as the Viego, but just not enough. Very good trade coming out from the Caitlyn there. I keep looking down on the bot lane and seeing a Caitlyn and get very confused for a moment. I hate it when it does that.
Yeah, because the Viego steals the soul. It's like, wait a second.
Correct, yes.
Yeah, but yeah, they're like coming in there, right? Court JJ. Oh, wait, gang top lane.
However, Nothing really of note. Just
Not
hits a
gonna
nice little E
materialize.
from Morbid Time, and Synctra just gets a little bit more damage onto it.
Yeah, but getting back to that bot lane play, right? Court JJ does
Mhm.
come in, finds the stun, as you said. Honestly, the CC layering was pretty decent, right? The exhaust was comboed into the Seraphine stun, which meant that StarCraft player kind of looked dead to rights, but able to trade back with that final headshot proc onto big fella Tommy. Gets the 1-for-1 in a 3v2. So not bad at all for 8 points left. As you can see, StarCraft player going towards building the collector, which did see a significant price drop. I think it was something like 450 overall.
I am glad you know the numbers, because I would not be able to tell you those number changes if my life was on the line for it.
Yeah,
and we
so
might be seeing a gank happen in this mid lane while we are waiting for a little bit. Except it's just a little bit of a tease. Back to what you were saying.
yeah, Collector. I believe it was Collector and Essence Reaver that did see some pretty significant price changes. They are much cheaper items, so Caitlyn is a lot happier to be building them. They also have slightly less AD, but honestly, not the end of the world when the overall outcome is just better gold efficiency.
Correct. Yes.
As far as objectives go, though, it does look like Gru is angling to get all 6 scrubs there, and they do get them for free.
And that is absolutely humongous for this team, which all around doesn't really have much pushing power. I mean, if you gave even 3 grubs over to the Caitlyn, it would be absolutely detrimental just due to how far she's able to pick away. And quite frankly, she wouldn't even need a Baron or a Herald to pop open your mid tower as long as they play it right.
Yeah,
which is just absolutely horrible to play against.
Yeah, and as far as the bot lane advantages go, it's definitely in the favor of 8 points left, as you said. So just even 2 grubs would be great for that Caitlyn. So good read from Gru to prioritize getting those. At the very least, it's some denial, even though it seemed thus far that Gru's had some difficulty pushing their lanes towards the turrets here. And honestly, I think it's overall, like, neither team has actually gotten any plates off. If we go check bot lane, yeah, like it's
I don't believe any plates have been taken. Yes, indeed, and that is actually very impressive. Noticing the fact that we are approaching on 13 minutes. I mean, there are some that are relatively close, and we were almost seeing an engage in the mid while I was yapping about, but unfortunately, this is a low kill game, so nothing of note. And it looks like a back has been stopped onto this Karma. She does get stunned and knocked back. Ooh, the anti-synergy there. But the ult coming out from Maokai, she does get stunned down even more. She more than likely will drop. Bubble Matic getting very, very low, but she does have the shield, and she barely gets dropped, almost making it out alive.
Highly unfortunate for the Karma there, right? Gets hit with that fade away. I think it's like high note from Seraphine. But yeah, I mean, that actually does translate into finally the grubs being utilized here for Gru. They get 2 quick plates here,
maybe 3, but Viego is here to get onto this Caitlyn. They are going a little bit far. She does get rooted down, and she will drop very quick. However, Akali is here, and the rest of the red team is showing up here. Sal does get stunned. He is getting very, very close to getting a kill. He does stay alive for a little bit longer. He does go farther in, and does secure 1 kill, 2 kill. He does go down near the Viego. Viego is still alive on the Akali, and he's trying to make his way out of this fight. However, he's getting a little bit more damage just to tease this Sejuani, and he looks like he will make it out alive.
Yeah, I mean, Kill's definitely favored. Yeah, Kill's definitely favored over to Gru so far, right? And Court JJ playing it well, right? The Karma's not back yet. Caitlyn's walking alone. Caitlyn's also playing with the knowledge that Akali's coming down, so is walking like completely.
She has a lot of confidence in walking up there. Yes,
the Seraphine Maokai, and yeah, Court JJ punishes that incredibly well. Unfortunately, the escape isn't quite clean. Oh, Synctra might be in trouble.
And Dream of Me is coming all the way in, does get double knock up on a Synctra. Synctra is getting down to quarter health, and it looks like this man is just getting pummeled. Not able to move at all, and he is at about half health with Court JJ half health as well. And Sejuani, I believe, right around half health as well. So all around half health, all across the board.
Yeah, I mean...
And it looks like beautiful engage coming out from this Maokai. Sao does get very, very low. He is not dead just yet. The shield comes out, and a TP coming out from this Alawi here. However, the rest of Gru is having to back up and splits. And it looks like they're just making it out alive. It looks like they will be getting
surviving there by the skin of their teeth. I'm honestly surprised that the call from Gru is to walk away so far. Now they're re-engaging, though.
Oh my goodness. Oh, double ult coming out, and a charm onto. Beautiful ult coming out from this.
Whoa!
Oh my goodness. Don't even have time to commentate on it. And it looks like there's only 2 members back in the pit. Sejani does secure the dragon, and 2 more will be going down very soon. There goes Sejani, and there goes. Morbentime's not dead just yet. Yone secured a kill. Actually, Yone dropped, and Seraphine secured a kill. However, 2 of the towers are being secured in the top lane here. Oh my goodness.
I mean, like yes, you get the second drag, but at what cost? You lose 2 towers in top lane, you lose 1 tower bot, and like that's the grubs going to work, right? They absolutely annihilate those turrets. Morbentime TP'd down, and ZZ, he's like, well, I don't have TP. That's not a problem. I'm just gonna keep splitting.
And with that, it definitely would have been nearly as much of a bad trade if they did secure the dragon, as well as a couple kills on top of that. But still, 2 towers in the top lane and 1 in the bot lane at this point in the game is not good.
Yeah, and you can already see that being reflected in the itemization for the side of Gru, right? They are coming out with their complete items. You have Bork completed on both the Viego and the Yone. Seraphine with the Blackfire Torch, working towards, I think, completing the Archangel Staff, which will upgrade shortly into, I keep forgetting the name.
Archangel's Embrace. That's the one. That sounds about right. It looks like we have a 3-man on this top lane from both teams. Garen is making his way up as well, and it looks like Synctra is just getting knocked around, getting very low, half health already, and Morbentime is having to make his way out. Double flash coming out from Morbin and Bubble Medic, and it looks like Gru is just going to take that as a win.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Gru can kind of just throw their weight around with all this gold lead that they have, and even a champion that can be as tanky as a Sejuani will melt. Because we were talking about during Champion Select, hey, Gru has this composition that's very physical damage oriented, but what's the solution to that? Well, it's funneling a lot of gold onto this Seraphine, who now is capable of doing a lot of magic damage in comparison to where the overall game state is. So it's very hard for Sejuani to answer. It's just all armor that the Sej has built.
Right, and also the first item is a very interesting pick. I believe that is Zeke's Convergence, if I'm not mistaken, where it's really just for more damage.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's triple charm! And Garen's going farther and farther in, execute on 1, gets the karma down, and it looks like Synctra is getting half health. Garen will more likely go down due to the Sejani, and it looks like Synctra is just barely holding onto her life. Ult's coming out onto the Caitlyn, and it looks like second tower is secured in the mid lane here.
Ultimately, APL come away with a 1-for-1. Yes, they lose the turret, but in a situation where your team gets triple charmed, the enemy team is also forcing that engage. It's not bad to come away with a 1-for-1.
Sao is actually able to get stuck in it. He does ult, but he is still alive. Not anymore. He does go down and dream to me. And it looks like with that, they could possibly secure this next tower as well, but it looks like they are just going to make their way back.
And it's so hard to play from this position if you are APL, right? Because yes, Caitlyn does have some damage. You do have this collector able to secure some kills at low HP, but the rest of your team is kind of down in the dumps. Synctra is the closest thing to being, not completely shut out, but like we were talking about, the itemization is just so heavily oriented towards addressing all the physical damage in the game. As long as Seraphine remains involved, the Sejuani can still just evaporate. So now,
yes,
for 8PL, they're hitting this point, this infamous point for Caitlyn, where you're dipping down in your efficacy in the mid game, and you don't have an advantage to quite play through. Sao does have some itemization coming through, right? You have the Storm Surge on this Akali, but then you take a look across the Rift, and it doesn't really matter all that much, because the upfront damage that Gru
is very hard to acquire due to how far behind they are. Yes, that's the point
it's just so high in comparison.
Yes, with how far behind they are, I mean, you have a 1 level difference in the bot lane for both ADC and support, and then you also have, well, everywhere else is even, quite frankly. But still, the main negative there is a 6,000 gold disadvantage that is just going to kill them on not getting that Storm Surge proc.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, like the one thing that I will say APL do have going for them.
Oh my goodness, Darren's going in on two. Synctra here, and he does spin to win and just make it out without taking really any damage.
I mean, there's nothing that he has to fear, right? He knows his team is in the area, and you're also playing Garen, right? Garen players love doing this. They just love running at people, screaming at them aggressively, and then running away.
Yes, indeed. I do a slightly different method whenever I play that. I sing the Macarena as I am spinning to win you down. It's not fantastic, but it's entertaining to say the least. And with that, it looks like Dragon is about 4,000 health, 3,000, 2,000, 1,000, and gone.
And there's just nothing that APL can do about it. Like I said, the one silver lining that they do have is that they do have those 2 drags, right? So they are not under threat of getting hit by an early soul. Oh,
beautiful double
no.
charm coming out and say goodbye to Bubblematic. He is going down, and Morbid Time is getting a kind of sad ult, unfortunately. Morbid Time does get set up a little bit more. He does go down. Exhaust going on to the, I don't even know who that is, Sejani, I believe. And it looks like she will go down.
Yeah, I mean, like, APL, they're just picked apart there. I don't think that they really have any business being in that position. You know that Gru are still in the area just after recently taking the drag. I understand you, okay, maybe we want to push in the mid lane a little bit, but you see the drag go down, you know, you have 5 seconds to get out.
Yes.
Because you know they're still there.
The game. They are extremely fast, especially with Viego's little shroud. He is able to move to you at very quick speeds.
Yeah, breakneck speeds and breakneck fast Baron, 21.5 minutes in. Gru now at a commanding almost 9k gold lead here, 21.5 minutes in. Bounties on 3 members. Pretty much everyone's only died once or not at all, with the exception of big fella Tommy. But that's also because the Maokai's going in. You know, he is that guy for his team. So can't fault him for doing so.
I'd never blame the tree for dying a couple times, except for the lengthy tree. No.
Yeah.
Ivern, I can't respect that.
But you know, it's like the Maokais and the Nautiluses of the world, right? You know, they're
yes, indeed.
They're going in for their
quite
team.
Well.
So
and then they get blamed for it anyways, but we understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, I mean, you know, someone's got to do it.
Seeing an engage on a StarCraft player here, and it looks like a nice net trap out. And we might be seeing a fight in this bot lane here as well. Sal going in onto Dream to Me. Dream to Me is barely taking any damage. Singtra is here as well. Both coming out onto Tao. Tao does go down. Singtra is here, but so is Court JJ. And Dream to Me is getting some good damage off. However, it looks like they will more than likely shove this wave and get it under tower and then go from there. And keep in mind, Maokai and Seraphine are keeping watch.
Yeah, the Yone is just so slippery. It's really hard to deal with a fed Yone. Sal tries to get some damage in, but ultimately it doesn't matter all that much, right? The Yone has Bork. The Akali doesn't have any form of grievous wounds.
We might be seeing a fight happening in this mid lane. Oh, coming out from Big Galatal, but Flash coming out from Bubblematic. Charm coming out onto StarCraft player, and they are still just alive. Tommy is just so dang tanky. ZZ in the back. Get 1 kill, 2 kill. And it looks like he might be going for a little bit more. Morbid Time getting very, very low. Morbid Time dead, and that is 3 kills. And another kill going to the Viego. I was hoping to see a Penta here today, but it looks like that is just not enough. This will more than likely be the end of the game. Old Flash coming out from the ZZ here and say goodbye. Now he's still just barely alive.
They're just putting on those styling touches, right? They know this game is one commanding game coming out from Gru here. Gonna wrap it up in 23.5 minutes. They did fantastically. I don't really think that they made a profound amount of mistakes. And honestly, they just completely neutralized like pretty much every single play that 8PL went for. Even there, like at the final fight of the game, you kind of see what I'm talking about, where 8PL try to do something proactive, right? They try to catch out the Seraphine, the Maokai, but Seraphine and Maokai, they stay alive so long, the Viego can sweep in, the Garen can come in as well from the flank, and there's just nothing that 8PL can do.
Correct, yes. With that, I think it was just a very big, unfortunate chain of events that led them down here. Obviously, you just have that first lead that does get lost, including a very big player, the 6 Grubs, which allowed them to be able to make the plays that were necessary, and also just free up some space on the map, which then allowed them to seal out the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very, like, this was, in its own way, it's still very entertaining, but I really do hope that 8PL can bounce it back in game number 2.
Yes, indeed. And with that, I do hope we do see some interesting picks along with that. And following that up, that is the end of game 1. We will be transitioning and setting up for game 2. We will see you in a couple minutes. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the second game today of Minions Rise of Gru versus 8 points left. And while we are waiting for this nice little draft to get ready, do you still have any more comments from that last game you didn't have the opportunity to get out, Mr. True?
No, honestly, no big notes. I mean, obviously, the lightning fast speed of the game is probably like the biggest thing on anyone's mind. Um, the only other thing is just to follow up what I said as the game was ending, like or as we're getting out of the last game. Really hope that 8 points left can bounce back from it. That's a tough loss. Like
Yes,
you get
indeed.
you get blown out of the water like that. You're kind of just sitting there for a little bit, thinking like, oh, how do we fix this?
But luckily, at least they do have 3 minutes to discuss about it while we do have the spectator delay and a little bit of other delay to get everything set up. So at least you can talk about it, think about it, and hopefully not get too mad at your teammates. Trust me, I've been kicked off 2 teams, so I know quite well
Oh,
how it goes down.
I mean, sometimes some people take it a little bit too seriously, But
Yes, indeed. And the worst part is the second time getting kicked off the team wasn't even my fault. But
oh,
what can you do? And with um,
yeah. I mean, I think we've kind of all been there, right? When rosters have difficulty problems, sometimes some people are, like I said, taking it a little bit too seriously, or their mindset is just in the wrong place. Their priorities are elsewhere, or they're over prioritizing some things, and it's just kind of hard to talk about it, right? It's rough. It's something that I think, unfortunately, it's an experience that I would say a lot of amateur teams have to go through. But I really wish that people wouldn't have to deal with it.
yes, indeed. And especially due to the fact I believe this is a free league, if I'm not mistaken. It
Mhm.
certainly can affect it. I feel if it's not a paid league, you sort of have a little bit more fun with it. And
Yep.
first, he's starting off a Thresh pick. I gotta love it. That is my
Ooh,
favorite champion outside of Pike, but you never really see Pikes these days.
ooh, hooks abound. Thresh versus
Mhm.
Nautilus.
And I am
So
always privy to Nautilus as well. I'm curious what they are going to see to match up with that. I assume maybe a Zeri, maybe even a Draven, possibly. The
mhm.
possibilities are endless here today.
I mean, yeah, both teams opening up with their support picks. Technically, another hook coming out with this Amumu being locked in for the side of 8PL. Just as a really quick thing, not both teams are still on the same sides for game number 2, so rather simple. Don't have to worry about any different distinctions. But quick
Correct.
reminder,
Yes.
this is gonna be a completely different draft from both teams, as we are in a fearless draft with no bans. So has to be a completely different composition. As once again, Gru looks like the pick is going to be Skarner for them. So also answering back with their jungle lock. Honestly, I'm seeing some similarities here, Luaki. Hook support,
A
tank
very tanky
jungle.
jungler. We're sitting to a very specific grouping right now. Let's see if they stick with it. Honestly, let's just take a gamble on the. Is this going to be an ADC pick third? Who knows?
I mean, we'll see.
We should be seeing it soon. Maybe if it's broken again.
Yeah, it appears that Gru might be having some difficulties with their draft link. Um, we'll see if we can get that ironed out.
All
Kind of,
right.
we love, like, draft law is a great tool. Everybody, it's
When it
great
works, of course.
when it works.
Very rare when it does. I
uh,
love League of Legends, and it
okay,
looks like we will be.
yeah.
All
All
right.
right. So
It looks like we will be resetting draft. However, the champions will be the same. So we are just going to go to a slight pause while we're waiting for that to get reset up, ladies and gentlemen.
It's here.
And my
yeah,
pizza
but
arrived, apparently. Sweet.
we can talk about the picks that we do know, right?
Mhm.
Which are, both of these hook supports with tanky junglers. I will say that on the side of 8PL, um, this is more of a hard commit of the composition, right? Because Nautilus, you pull yourself and your target to the halfway point, but Amumu, you land your bandage toss, and you're in. Like there's no getting out. There's no pulling off. Meanwhile, for the side of Gru, right, you have this Thresh who I think people can point to as one of the earlier do everything supports, right? You have a little bit of engage, you have a little bit of safety for your carry, you have slow, you have your flay, which is honestly a really unique ability. But
And with
looks like the
that, we are
draft has been
back in the
reset.
draft, actually. And it looks like we finally have a nice little photo of Skarner here today. And with that, we should be seeing the next pick sometime in the next 10, 15-ish seconds, give
Mhm.
or take. And quite frankly, I want to see what it is before we go ahead and move to anything. And it's a
Ooh.
Ziggs.
Yeah, you were saying that you were expecting it to be the ADC, but it's going to be the APZ Sig's bot, which is very popular at the moment, right? Mages in the bot
Yes,
lane have gained
indeed.
a solid degree of popularity in the past few months. We saw it in game number 1 with Seraphine, and this time it looks like Gru are electing to do something similar with this Ziggs, right? You're going to take the TP, you're going to be really safe. Ziggs, on the other hand, though, very much more burst oriented with the magic damage, but also really capable of busting down those turrets. So
Oh,
once
yes.
again, you're thinking about that potential threat of those grubs for Gru's comp. On the other side of it, though, APL, they're putting together some Bronzodia, right? You got the Amumu, you got the Malphite, Ashe even. Very straightforward, direct engages, multiple engage tools, strong front line. They do need to round out their composition with what I'm going to assume might be a mage. Um, that being said, Blue, this is a bold choice.
Yes,
Like,
indeed.
it
That
might be
could
Vayne
be
top.
a Vayne top, or it might even be a Vayne ADC with the Ziggs support.
Maybe it's just Sig's mid, you know,
So,
because you still have the
I
Thresh.
already forgot the Thresh. Oops, my bad. That makes a lot more sense. All right.
Okay. So something that I think people haven't seen in a little bit, right? Zig's just
Syndra.
going straight into mid lane. As I said, probably looking for a mage. Syndra does match a lot of what 8PL want to do with this comp, right? Pretty much just throw themselves at you and let Syndra and Ashe burn you down, or burst you down in Syndra's case, rather. So,
Yes,
very
and
straightforward
also
idea.
emphasis on the throwing things at you. She will throw, well, people at you. Not sure if you count the minions as people these days, but gotta love
They
it.
have souls. We're going to see them. Thresh is in the game.
Fair
So,
enough. And with that, we're just going to go ahead and just swap to the pick phase right now.
mhm.
Anything of note outside of what you've already mentioned? I will say it's not often I have seen a Vayne, but it most certainly could be an interesting one. Do you think it's picked specifically for this or just sort of pocket pick?
I mean, the personal speculation, this just might be something that Brew want to run. They do have that, single game buffer, so to speak. So they are able to kind of be a bit more flexible with their picks, kind of try out things that they want to try out because they're ones with their back up against the wall here. That being said, right, I think their composition does have this idea of, okay, we'll rely on Diggs Mordekaiser to be our main damage sources into that mid game period so Vayne can start scaling up. Because obviously, the classic deal of Vayne is just that you're not strong early. Like maybe levels 1 through 3, you do have certain capabilities of, running people down, catching people out a bit. But in between then, let's say when you're 3 items, Vayne doesn't necessarily feel as strong. I do think it's rather interesting, though, that Gru has locked Vayne into the Ashe, because Ashe is a champion that a lot of people would say does well into Vayne because Ashe is strong early. You have Volley that can really catch Vayne out, even if you go into Final Hour and tumble with that invisibility. Ashe can just press W. There's not really anywhere you can tumble towards Ashe to dodge that out, and so your position will kind of get revealed just by those arrows. So I think it's a bit of like a gauntlet thrown from Gru
Mhm.
to be like, yes, we're gonna lock Vayne into this, and I am talking out of my head here because Vayne is mid. That's insane. This is a Vayne mid.
Okay, I am very intrigued in how this is going, actually. So the final lineup for both teams, starting off with Gru, is Mordekaiser, Skarner, Vayne, Ziggs, and Thresh, with 8PL going Malphite, Amumu, Syndra, Ashe, and Nautilus, which just makes sense on
Yeah,
APL
so
here.
APL, very straightforward. You know exactly what this team wants to do because you've seen it 1,000 times, right? But on the other hand, Gru, right, like you and I were just assuming that, okay, well, you see Ziggs Vayne. You know it's not Vayne top because there's a Mordekaiser. So let's assume that it's Ziggs mid. Let's assume that it's Vayne ADC. Or, sorry, Ziggs mid, Vayne ADC. But then they switch it up on us. Vayne is going mid into the Syndra. That is wild to me.
It is going to be an interesting one. But with that, I believe we should be able to head to the break while we're waiting on for this about 3 minutes for the spectator delay to go off. Don't go anywhere. Don't wait too much. We'll be back very soon. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Game 2 of our fun little teams, Gru versus 8PL, and it looks like we're seeing a very interesting play coming out from Gru here. Actually, is this Gru or APL?
It's Gru.
This is Gru. All right, I keep forgetting team names and which side they are on, but it looks like we are seeing a 5-man gank here. However, there is not a gank, a invade. However, they do have vision, and StarCraft hits 2, and Tommy gets a nice little ward in the blue buff here.
Yeah, I mean, it does get spotted out, as you said, as credit to, I believe, StarCraft players ward. You can see that Gru did throw down a ward of their own to get vision onto 8PL's red buff. But, also welcome everybody to game number 2. We did learn in the loading screen something about this Vayne mid. Dream to me is a 1.1 million mastery point Vayne.
Yes,
Level
I'm pretty sure
98.
read it like mastery. Oh, 98. I thought it was 53. Oh my lord!
It's a lot of points. I believe like roughly, this is not like a perfect ratio, obviously, but roughly every 100 levels is about 1 million mastery. It also looks like Morbentime electing to go mid while Sal goes top. So you have the Malphite versus this Vayne. Potentially not a bad thing. Obviously, Vayne does have true damage, but Malphite has a lot of natural armor, so should be able to tank up a lot of those early autos. As well as having, I think, the Ground Slam, being capable of slowing down attack speed, so might prevent Vayne from getting a lot of auto attacks.
Yes, indeed. And I believe the main issue with that, though, is just the mana consumption it does take. I believe it's like 35 to 40 mana per. And there is level 2 Q from coming out from Tommy onto the Bubble Medic. Bubble Medic does stun down Tommy, and Tommy does get ignited here. And it looks like it's just going to be a disengage from both members of the support class.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a premature ignite on the part of Bubble Medic. Maybe a little bit of panic going down. The problem, so to speak, for StarCraft player was that the Ashe can't directly walk forward because Shinx threw down the minefield instantly in the middle of the wave.
And that is a Q coming out onto Bubble Medic from Tommy, and he does get done. He does finally get a Ignited Flash coming out, and Tommy is getting very, very low. Shinx just does not have enough damage to help out Tommy. Tommy does flash.
The flash!
Ooh, flash coming out from StarCraft. Bubble Medic is still alive right now, and it looks like Shinx might go down here. Does have to flash out, but he does survive with a beautiful flash. And he is very low there. Oh my
Big
goodness.
fella Tommy, that is a hard misplay. It's definitely the type of thing where you're kind of smacking yourself on the head. Because he's trying to bait it out as long as possible, right? You're holding your flash. You might be hoping to burn both the flashes of the enemy bot lane, which did end up happening, but definitely not what support of
he had
wanted
envisioned.
to happen
Yes.
there. Yeah.
And with that, it looks like Morbentime was actually taking a lot of damage in that mid lane just due to Vayne's poke there, which is just not fun to play against, for being honest here. And it looks like the game state has stabilized a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, like, off of that first blood, right, StarCraft player does come away with a bit of a gold lead, but Shinx is able to TP back in. So once again, the Ziggs doesn't lose out on too much outside of that first blood gold, outside of, the slight experience difference, so to speak, just from the kill. But one thing I do want to talk about is how these solo lanes are going for both of these teams. Because if you are Gru, you're hitting tab and you're like, I'm happy, right? Mordekaiser versus the Syndra 27 to 15. But then in mid lane, Dream to me, this Vayne, already at 32, it's Morbentime 16. It's double the CS already here at 4 minutes, which is a great position to be in, right? That's just so much additional gold incrementally building an advantage for you in your solo lanes. And honestly, if you're Court JJ, you're not too worried about how things are going, even in spite of the fact that your team gave up first blood, because your solos are doing fine. Bot lane, sure, they messed up a little bit, but you're playing Ziggs, so you're more than happy to farm it up and be safe.
And you can also just take a tower when it's at quarter health, basically. So you are not concerned at all about being behind, at least this amount, of course.
Yeah, it's nothing too much to worry about. So even off of that first blood, you can still see there that 8PL does have a slight lead, but the farm is honestly about to balance it out overall for both of these teams. So 8PL, maybe, what they wanted to do with this composition is just hit 5v5 as soon as possible and just win, with your champion's AoE CC. Play through that. Going to be hard to pull that off if you fall behind substantially in the laning phase, though.
Yes, indeed. And that's what Morbin ought to be focusing on here. He just needs to stay as far ahead as he can. Even though he's not ahead, he just needs to make sure he is not too far behind is what I meant to actually say.
Yeah,
Which he's definitely not doing the worst of jobs of. It is very, very difficult, and also not giving any kills over. He is playing that line as carefully as he can, which is exactly what must be done here.
Mm-hmm. Both junglers showing towards the bottom side. We did see Cincture get their reset in. Looks like Court JJ will be spotted out on a ward. But both early objectives are up. My personal opinion is that both junglers very interested in getting these grubs, right? I think that if you're 8PL, you're kind of thinking about what happened in game 1, and you really don't
want to make sure it does not happen again, especially with his Ziggs. And with that, we are seeing this Amumu already start making his way down. I believe Skarner is also heading there as well. Mordekaiser is backing. Vayne should be able to secure Prile here very quickly. It just begs the question, will Skarner go that way?
It looks like that Court JJ is going to walk up. This will get spotted out shortly. The Amumu is on those grubs, and you can see that Cincture already claimed one. Is going to claim a second, but doesn't get the third.
He does claim the third.
Okay. I thought I saw two. Okay.
I did see two smites, but it looks like apparently he did not secure it. That must absolutely suck coming up from Court JJ.
You know what? It might have just been a result of Court JJ potentially smiting early?
I believe so. And then the Cry just dealt the 2 odd damage left that was necessary.
Well, that's really awkward if you're Court, right? Because you're walking in there and you're like, oh, okay, I can just smite this away. You know,
and there's also definitely a possibility he still thinks he has it. And it looks like there's an engine coming out from the top side, and we're not watching it apparently. All right, back to the middle.
Well, I mean, the camera panned away just as Sal burns the flash under turret, so no gank to be had. But critically, right? 8PL, they are not going to be facing the same situation they did game 1, right? They're the ones who have 3 grubs early, which means even if they give up the next 3, they don't have to worry about the Void Mites. But in addition to that, they're the ones who are capable of pushing down those towers. Now, if any of my teammates from Prodigal Father and the Fortunate Sons are watching right now, the problem with getting these early grubs is that your composition is not oriented
Wait, you're Prodigal Sons?
Yeah.
Oh. I'm pretty sure did you play last week?
Yes.
I think I commentated on your game. Okay. Sweet.
Well, so the thing about this is that even though you're getting these early grubs,
oh my goodness, Flash coming out from the Nautilus.
Really aggressive.
Thresh saved Zig's life.
Yeah.
That was
gank and top lane as well.
Close. And it looks like say hello to the Shadow Realm coming out from this Mord, and he does secure the kill, but he more than likely will go down. He does going to the Amumu.
And it's not bad for Sal in that situation, right? Like, you do force ZZ to go in, he throws you into Death Realm Shore, and you do end up dying off of it. Neither player has TP, though. The kill gets traded back, such as it is. But to finish my thought, right? Oh, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
To finish my thought, as we can see that Dragon gets taken here by Gru. The thing about having early grubs is that it's great and all to have them, but if your composition is not oriented around pushing out,
stun coming out from this beautiful man. Skarner didn't nice press. Cincture getting very, very low. He does get ignited. He will go down very soon. Maybe ult coming out from Morbid time. He does secure 1 kill. Going on to the Shanks. He is at about quarter health, and he is still alive.
Good hook.
Securing a hook on a Morbid time. Does secure the kill onto Morbid as well. Flash coming out from Dream to Me. Dream to Me is still alive for now. Cleanse coming out. He does go down, and Tommy more than likely will follow very shortly. He does stay alive for a little bit longer, and he does flash, but will he escape? Hooking out from Bubble Medic. Done. Doesn't hit just yet, and beautiful kill coming out from StarCraft player.
Yeah, I mean, APL find a strong avenue for the punish on the Dragon, right? They are able to, Drew is able to secure it, but there's no TP on the Mordekaiser, so locked in that top lane. You can see that Sao actually transitioned over to mid to push that lane in during the Dragon fight. And overall, 8PL, they're extremely happy with what happened. Even though they don't get the drag, they get several kills. And they are able to push a bit off of it, at the very least, in the mid lane. But to finally wrap up my thought, right? Getting grubs is great, but if your composition's not oriented around pushing, then those grubs ultimately become a very empty objective until your team is able to, let's say, win a fight and push out, like what we just saw. So, overall, it's great, but your tempo doesn't necessarily increase unless you're able to push on those turrets.
Correct. Yes, I will state I have a mild rebuttal to that one, to where the main reason why Grubs, I believe, is so sought after, even though it's the exact same for the Dragon, is that it has the indefinite lasting period, which is a very big difference coming out from Herald and the actual Baron, which is why it is such a high prio, especially because it's on the opposite side of the Dragon. So
yeah,
it's
the thing
gonna
I
be
was
very
getting at
handy.
is just like you never want to just give up 6 grubs if you're or like if you're gonna prioritize 6 grubs, you need to be able to make use of them if you're going to also just like be giving up dragons in that case. That's not happening for 8PL though, right? Because they did win the fight around the dragon, even if they weren't able
And
to
I
secure
will
it.
state there is a fight happening on these beautiful little grubs here right now. Court JJ is coming in on the Singtra. ZZ might not be able to join Sal here. However, Dream to me is coming to say hello. Sintra's about half health right now, and it looks like he will more than likely just make it out alive.
Oh,
However,
round.
Mordecai just disappeared. Say goodbye to ZZ. Court JJ is going a little bit farther in. Astro coming out on the Court JJ. Court JJ does get stunned up. He is about half health. Court health. He does go down to the map. I heard ult. And it looks like Dream to me is going to go down as well to Morbin time.
I mean,
It looks like
things
with
looked
that as well,
initially okay for
taken.
Gru, right? It looks like they were going to force Singtra and force Sao away from the grubs, even if Morbin time was going to be walking up. But ZZ walks forward, ends up eating CC, isn't able to toss anyone to the death realm to save himself. TP in the bot lane. That's
Thank you for that
Sao going
information.
top to bot. But yeah, like they. Oh
my goodness.
okay, the Syndra's okay. Syndra's okay.
Yeah, Syndra's.
Whoa, wait, he's going
oh
for
my Shinx. Calm down, my friend. And then I
Going for the
will
dunk.
say the main change in that top fight that we were seeing was the fact that, you know, ZZ was on that top lane and then he just backed up. However, Sao didn't allow him to do anything with that. And as I'm speaking, Dream to me is going on to StarCraft player. StarCraft player half health. Ignite going on to Bubble Medic here. StarCraft player is getting lower and lower. He does go down, and it looks like Bubble Medic is still alive, getting knocked back a little bit more. And he is trying to go in onto Dream to me. However, he will more than likely fall. He is still a beautiful hook. Oh, I love
Oh my goodness.
Tommy. That was a absolutely beautiful, beautiful hook coming out. And it looks like ZZ is fighting Singtra up here as well. There is just fights all across the board.
Yeah, credit being given where it's due. Big fella Tommy, in spite of the fact that the fights have not really been going the way of Gru thus far in, Big fella Tommy's actually been performing really consistently, finding these hooks in situations where it's kind of critical to land that little bit of CC, because in the dragon fight initially, right, if he doesn't land that hook,
on to Morbin time.
Single kill.
I believe
right?
it was the ADC, if I'm not mistaken. No, Dream to me would have gone down.
Yeah.
Which absolutely changed the scale of that fight and just made it a relatively positive thing for Gru.
Yeah, and we're still talking about where the lead, where the tempo is, and even in spite of the fact that ZZ has died twice now, and you can look at Sao and say, oh, this Syndra is 0-5-1. Gold is actually still 50 plus in ZZ's favor, right? This Mordekaiser is fine. You take a look at the other solo lane, Dream to me, Vayne, a commanding like 1.3k gold lead over its Morbin time. Yes, it's Malphite. Malphite doesn't care all that much because Malphite's going to press R in team fights. Nothing's going to take that away from them. But
so I believe that is part of the reason why they did do said swip. Well, that was not English. That switch.
Okay.
I lost where I was going due to that very bad misstep. And Shinx is getting engaged on. He does go farther in under the tower. What is happening, my man? He does secure a ult onto the StarCraft player, and it looks like Court JJ is going a little bit farther in. TB coming out from the Mordekaiser here as well. And it looks like Dream to me is showing up for this fight. Morbin time is here. Ult's coming out onto the Nautilus. Morbin time is getting absolutely demolished in Brazil. He does pop ult, and he does finally go down. It looks like ZZ just finally got to go down. And it looks like Court JJ is just dealing a little bit more damage. Not much happening. Hook coming out onto Bubble Medic. Beautiful ult coming out from Singtra. And it looks like say goodbye to Court JJ. And it looks like the rest of Gru might be backing up. But they are actually going farther in. Tommy's going for another. And say hello to Ziggs. Oh my goodness. One kill going to Ziggs. Another going to Vayne. And it looks like Ziggs is just going farther in. Now, unfortunately, no, he does not have ult. And he is making his way out. However, Tommy. Hook. Beautiful. Where is he going? Oh my goodness. And a flash of the mastery. That is absolutely brutal, Tommy. You know I love you. Very good play coming out from Tommy securing that kill, which he honestly should not have gotten.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I think the phrase is, right in the paragraph with all these death sentences, right? Big fella Tommy has been absolutely crucial for Gru in these fights because yes, the Vayne, like Dream to Me is dangerous, sure. Like we've been seeing, especially in that last fight, that the Vayne stayed pretty much untouched throughout the entire ordeal up until those last bits of it. But the problem with it is that the itemization isn't quite there yet, right? The attack speed isn't there for this hyper carry Vayne, so you're not as worried about that damage output quite yet. And it the situation gets salvaged because the fight takes so long. Shinx is able to respawn and TP in, get the bombs down, really
And basically just
capitalize
cause the
off of a long
entirety
fight.
of,
Yeah.
I believe, 8 PL to back just because of that. And it looks like,
Arrow.
speaking of which, StarCraft player secures a beautiful arrow, and it looks like they just make their way out. Dream to Me is going in on a Morbid Time. However, I believe there was a TP going in on the Tribush just below him. Dream to Me is getting Morbid Time to about half health. Say hello to Sao. He does get a beautiful stun on. And say goodbye to Dream to Me. Beautiful triple man coming out from Court JJ. And StarCraft player is getting about half health. Shinx is making his way out. He does go down to the Malphite ult. And say goodbye to Court JJ. He is finally going down. And Tommy is not able to do enough to save his team there, which I entirely respect. However, he just gets a nice little goodbye cue from Morbid Time just to let him know that he loves him.
Yeah, I mean, Tommy's really trying to put in work here. The problem with the last fight, if we can call it that, for the side of Gru, is that they're completely split up, right? Dream to Me, who is this Vayne that's been staying untouched for so long, is all alone, tries to go in on Morbid Time, tries to get something like a solo kill down, but Morbid Time is like, hey, I have Thornmail, I'm still quite healthy. And once again, Vayne is not quite at this point where you're going to be, landing 9 autos and almost killing, a Malphite. Right? It's not there yet. Give Sao time to just fly in, get the stun off, completely obliterate this Vayne, and then you transition to the fight where mid is. And we've been talking a whole lot about how safe the solo lanes are in terms of their gold, but ZZ's not there. Dream to Me's not there. So you have big fella Tommy, Shinx, and Court JJ alone as 3 versus 4 members of 8PL, and this isn't game 1 anymore. Right? You don't have that commanding lead. Yes, you're still somewhat dangerous, but you're not able to compete with the Malphite ult, with Ashe's damage output so far. So yeah, Gru, still quite pressured. The gold is still
Ooh, we might be seeing something happen. Maybe an engage coming out from Morbid Time. All coming out onto Tommy. Tommy getting stunned down. However, Court JJ is there. Ult coming out from the shield.
Oh no!
And getting very, very low. Double suppress coming out on. And say goodbye to the Thresh here. Tommy going down, and Morbid Time does drop as well. Court JJ does just want to go a little bit farther, and Dream to Me is showing up to get on the sync to Sao, getting very, very low. Shinx is also very low. He does go down to this Court JJ, and it looks like we might be seeing something else, but it looks like no, that is the end of that fight.
Yeah, so the thing that I was saying oh no about was that Court JJ coming in from the flank wanted to get that Ixtal's impact down.
However, as soon as you start talking, something happens. He secures the kill onto this Amumu here, and it looks like he is in the Shadow Realm with Bubble Medic. However, he's getting smacked down by Tower Flash coming out from this Bubble Medic here. And it looks like ZZ is still alive. He is going to hook him in. Bubble Medic getting about quarter health. He's getting very, 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 very low. However, he does make it out alive. However, ZZ knows he has a Skarner just below him.
And there's no reason for StarCraft player to walk forward, right? You don't know who might be lurking in the area. But also, you don't have arrow available, right? You're a bit.
And I will go grab a slice of pizza. I've been needing to do it for a while. I apologize.
Yeah, go for it. And we're going to transition over to this Rift Herald as Gru is going to start it up. Looks like they will be uncontested as they take the Rift. And who are they going to give it to? Shinx going to be taking it. Interestingly enough, maybe potentially looking to just get Rift Herald and try to pull off and execute with it. That being said, so Gru is not in an awful spot. They actually do have the gold lead now off of those kills off of the kill that ZZ was capable of getting. And I think this is the thing that APL is rather worried about. Because APL, they are playing rather chaotically. They're capable of forcing.
I've been very wanting this pizza.
Oh man, yeah, get your chow on. Absolutely.
And it looks like just as I come back, we might be seeing a little bit of action. Court JJ is sitting here waiting for a little bit of an engage, but it looks like, oh my goodness, Flash ulting in. Shinx is still alive for now. Court JJ just barely misses. Double suppress coming out. Oh, coming out from this Ashe, but it doesn't really hit anyone. Bubble Medic getting very, very, very low. He does go down. Say goodbye to Syndra. Say goodbye to Court Medic. And say goodbye to Stingtray. He's getting very low, actually. And say hello to Dream to Me. this could be a very big turn of a fight. And say hello to ZZ as well. This is a 3v5 here. Tommy, if you hit this hook, it'll be very, very huge on a Morbid time. Or at least something, but it's just out of range. Not enough confidence. However, a Rift Herald is here to say hello to that mid tower there.
Yeah, I mean, Rift is in the cards as it looks like it's going to be Big Fella Tommy. It's running that straight in. They want to get the execute on the turret. Not quite there yet. There it is.
Oh, and it just got a perfect timing. ZZ is in a 1v1 with Synctra right now, and it looks like Synctra will more likely go down. And outside of that, there's not much more happening to that fight. I will state Dragon is up in, where's my timer? 50 seconds, and Baron is up at this point in time.
Synctra kind of just accepted their fate in that very moment. Right, just being ulted by the Mordekaiser. There's no tower to protect you anymore. You just gotta face the music. But that being said, right, it kind of feels like a bit of a Cinderella timer is going off for 8PL. The small gold lead that they had previously has kind of just evaporated away in the face of this Mordekaiser beginning to scale up, beginning to become even more of a threat. And you know, when Death Realm is available, it's really hard for any singular member of 8PL to deal with the Mord, right? Because you have you have a Malphite who is starting to get a little bit of MR, but not a whole ton quite yet. But the other thing is that the tools that you have.
Oh my goodness! Say goodbye to Bubble Medic. What happened? Oh Lord! And speaking of which, it looks like we're having a 1v1 nice little shadow round here with ZZ and Morbid time. However, Darkcraft player says hello.
Yeah, I mean, to Morbid Time's credit, right, they're tanky enough that they won't just get 100 to 0 by a Mordekaiser ulting them. So there is that benefit to be had. But speaking of that Cinderella timer, right, Gru is just capable of taking this drag uncontestedly. They did get Bubble Medic, but it also just shows that overall 8PL are not willing to commit towards a fight at the very moment unless they have every single tool available. And the gold is starting to pull away from them.
Correct, and they also do just keep getting caught out, just like so. Beautiful. And oh my goodness, that hook was very, very close. All coming out from Core JJ, just barely missed. And it looks like ZZ is very far in. All coming out from this Ziggs. However, just not enough. That is exactly what 8PL was looking for here. Just a beautiful secure kill, even though, quite frankly, it most certainly could have turned bad for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was ZZ just being a little bit overconfident, right? Death Realm wasn't quite available for the Mordekaiser. And if it had been, right, ZZ probably able to just, you know, toss somebody in, potentially get a kill, especially if it's that Syndra or Ashe. Problem is, not there. The rest of the team is not close enough to follow up on anything. So it's just a free death handed over to 8PL, who are, as you said, you know, thankful to be able to get that. I will say, if you are 8PL right now, though, you're kind of just starting to sweat bullets, right? You need to have a definitive team fight win with the tools that you have available.
And that is also very hard at this game stage.
Yeah.
I believe it's better to just take whatever small wins you can, and not getting caught out is your biggest goal, which most certainly could have just happened to Bubble Medic there.
Yeah. The the other thing that APL is worried about is this Vayne, right? Dream to Me is already 2 items completed, getting closer and closer to the third. And once Vayne hits that third item, is there really anyone on 8PL that can really answer that in a 1v1 sense? Not necessarily. Especially as long as Dream to Me does have that cleanse available, like let's say you can cleanse off a Syndra stun or an Ashe arrow, it's really hard for 8PL to deal with this Vayne, especially if Dream to Me positions intelligently and doesn't get caught out. So
yes, and I will state, seeing the mastery points on Dream to Me, I am more than likely expecting her to play very smart with her timing.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I don't even need to commentate on that fight. It's just Bruiser versus Bruiser. Not much more to say outside of that.
Wet noodle fight, they're just slapping each other around a little bit. Nothing really is going to happen out of it.
Yes, indeed. Just a bunch of drunk dads at the pool on a Thursday. Just smacking the crap out of each other. Exactly what I love to see in League.
Yeah, their wives and kids are just on the sideline watching in horror.
Cheering on their dad, starting a feud war, whatever. Whatever gets you going on Thursday.
Yeah. But APL, you know, to their credit, right, they are still dangerous in the 5v5. You have the Amumu, the Nautilus, the Malphite. They are able to dogpile in an AoE extremely effectively. But
And
as you said,
also the very Ashe arrow is a very good factor as well, just due to the engage is a very big player in my opinion. It looks like Morbin time is getting 1v1. He is getting very, very, very low, and it looks like he will go down due to ZZ with a nice clean 1v1. Just did not respect his damage.
Yeah, and like, but the thing is, that's just so critical for the side of Gru, because now, one of these strong AoE engage tools is completely taken off the map. Gru establishing strong vision control inside of 8PL's jungle. They're just pushing the lanes at the moment. They don't want to move towards the Baron, likely because Dream to Me is there on bot lane and you don't have TP on that main. But I think they're content doing this. They're not really bothered by taking things
Oh my goodness,
slow.
TP coming out from the Syndra, ult coming out from Ziggs, and looks like StarCraft player might just burn down. And looks like that Syndra is going a little bit farther in. Big Phil Tommy's just knocking him around, and say goodbye to Court JJ is just making his way out of there.
Oof. That is rough if you are the side of 8PL, right? Because you thought, okay, we have all the time in the world, we can kill this Mordekaiser. And then, once again, Big Phil Tommy on this Thresh being so critical, able to ferry ZZ out. They walk away, they don't lose a single member. And Dream to Me, more than content to just keep pushing in that bottom lane, get that free turret. You take a look at the turret score, and in spite of how things were going in that early game, turrets are 6-1 in favor of
Yes,
Gru.
indeed.
Gru has just
And
been pushing.
I believe you may have also missed, there was actually a mid-tower take, the actual inhib turret coming out from Ziggs, who just due to that execute, just took it like it was nothing.
Yeah, and I honestly think that this is kind of what 8PL was worried about, and it's what you saw in game number 1, right? You give Gru an inch, they'll take a mile.
And coming out on a bubble from Bubble Medic, and say hello to Court JJ. Ignite coming out on the Shinx. Beautiful triple. However, it's just a pull out. TP coming out from the Mordekaiser here. Synctra is going a little bit farther in on the Shinx. It looks like StarCraft player is going to get chased down, but the Mordekaiser doesn't get ulted, and Shinx is just too far in. Big fella Tommy is keeping him alive. We're all the way on StarCraft player now. StarCraft player does get killed, and I have no idea what's happening at this point in time. Big fella Tommy just barely missed the hook. What is happening? I can't even commentate over this. And it's a triple kill, a quadra kill. What just happened?
My goodness. Okay, so what happened was that, as the fight is starting out, once again, like, Shinx is in a bit of a precarious spot, but Synctra flashes forward, wants to secure the kill, take out the Ziggs, and yes, that's exactly what happened. But the problem with it, to be had, is that, Ziggs was still able to get ult off, and you did see that triple suppress coming through from Court JJ, and that was just a whole lot of damage down onto the front line, for the most part, of 8PL, and then critically, ZZ just flies in once again with this TP. We were talking about how dangerous this Mordekaiser is, and how dangerous these solo laners are, and that no one can really answer them in a 1v1 aspect from 8PL, and that's exactly what happens. ZZ walks forward, says, "How do you do?" to StarCraft player, bashes the Ashe in, and then is able to just have the rest of their time with this massive AoE, with these melee, like the remaining short-range melee champions that 8PL have available, and he just walks quickly away with a quadra kill. This Mordekaiser's now 9-4, but there's Nash Arrow.
Correct. I will state that was actually a very intriguing play, just due to how split up it was. I just couldn't really see much to that, and it looks like we might be seeing a fight happening. Nash Arrow coming out onto this Court JJ here, ult coming out from Shinx as well, and it looks like beautiful one-man stun coming out from Court JJ as well. He does get knocked a little bit farther down. He does go down, and it looks like it's just gonna be a dish case, except Tommy's going a little bit farther in, and a little bit of trade of hooks. Say goodbye to Tommy. Morbin time's going a little bit farther in. Was that a kill on someone? Ziggs secured a kill? Oh my goodness, 4 members are very, very low. I'm behind. Yeah. I realize that. 5 seconds behind. All right. Give me a couple moments, ladies and gentlemen. All right. I will just watch my friendly man screen, so I am not behind. Apologies about that for a very late commentation, ladies and gentlemen. I don't even know how that happened.
Yeah, I mean, so just to recap that fight really quickly. Like what we were talking about, the strength, so to speak, of 8PL's composition is if they can find a team fight, it's going to work out great for them, especially when this Mordekaiser that is 9-4-0 is so devastating to play against. Well, Gru didn't have Mord around this Baron pit, so APL pull the trigger, they find their fight, they find their engage. Critically, though, Shinx doesn't die, and APL are left bleeding so heavily from the fight that they do just have to walk away from it, walk up and fully disengage. That being said, though, Gru, once again, angling for this Baron dance. This time around, though, ZZ is near the pit.
I realized I need to actually put away the one that, so I can actually make sure I'm not watching the game that's 5 seconds behind on accident. So it looks like with that, Baron is about 10,000, 9,000, 8,000, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That was very, very quick. And Baron is taken. Just depends on what Gru is going to do here. Court JJ is going a little bit farther in, but as of now, nothing really of note outside just clearing wave and shoving it up mid.
Yeah, I mean, like, the problem for 8PL, right, is that they're really scared to face check. I don't believe that StarCraft player had the Hawk shot available to scout for vision.
Oh, that is an Asho coming out from StarCraft player, actually. However, just lands to kill, lands to secure on the Tommy, but nothing outside of that stun. Apologies.
Just a little bit of damage.
Ooh, hook coming out from Tommy on a medic. Oh my goodness. Say goodbye to Bubble Medic. That was just a absolutely absurd amount of damage. Very, very quick. Just due to that Tommy hook. I gotta give it to Tommy after this.
Yeah, I mean,
just Tommy is beautiful all-around hooks.
Yeah, Tommy's just done an incredible effort this game, right? Like, we have, like, you can talk about ZZ's damage.
Oh my goodness. Morbitime went all the way in. Big fella Tommy getting very, very low. Say goodbye to the Ziggs as well. Tommy is just barely holding on. He does get ulted in. And say hello to Singtra. Singtra versus ZZ here in the Shadow Realm. It's just back and forth for kills. And say goodbye to Singtra. ZZ securing the kill onto that nice little Amumu. And with 2 inhibs secured, the third will not be secured just yet.
I mean, but slowly but surely, the gold has just mounted more and more in Gru's favor. They are now at, just about 8.3k gold lead right now, close to 9.
I'm glad you did the math. I would have just said 10k and keep it simple.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Gru is just really, really comfortable at this point. They have, like, it's not as though they have not a care in the world. Like, they are very well positioned for Soul at this point that will be spawning in 30 seconds. It's going to be Mountain Soul, right? So you're going to have a team that's already harder and harder to kill become that much tankier. And there aren't many things that 8PL can rely on outside of, once again, their ability to force an engage, their ability to have a 5v5. But it's a job that only gets harder and harder to do as this game goes on, as, the dragons come through as well. And you can see 8PL, they're
not to cut you off, but we might be seeing a fight happening. StarCraft player already getting hit with a nice little Shinx Q. However, it looks like Tommy's playing this right. A little bit of a missed hook. I'm not going to make fun of you too much for it. Tommy does get stunned up. He is about half health, quarter health, and he is gone. Ult's coming out from the Ziggs. Does get a good amount of damage on a StarCraft player, as well as the Bubble Medic. Shinx is getting ulted. Double ulted, actually, from Ash and Morbid. Say goodbye. Cleanse Flash coming out. Say goodbye to Shinx. Say goodbye to several people. Syndra and Vayne. Mordekaiser is here to say hello to the Ash. This is a 3v1, my boys. Let's see if Ziggs has it. However, if you do want to pay attention, Skarner is going to the back line while ZZ pops Bubble Medic. He is still for alive right now. Oh my goodness, he has 1v3. And say hello to Singtra. Say goodbye to Singtra now. And say goodbye to Morbid as well. And Skarner will just go ahead and let it happen.
There's nothing that Court JJ
nothing that can be done.
About. Yeah.
My goodness. Any TP is there to get the final hit as well.
Oh my goodness. We were talking about it. Like that'll be the game, right? That'll be the series. There's no way that Death Timer is going to come back. And yeah, as good as that fight was looking for the side of 8PL, right? They found their ideal engage. They got onto the back line. But the moment this Mordekaiser shows up, it doesn't even matter. Court JJ had already left at that point, right? Court JJ is like, okay, Mord, you got this. I'm going for the base, right? And like you said, it's done. This Mord got so completely out of hand, and part of that is those incremental advantages that happened in those solo lanes, right? Just off of that farm advantage. That being said, 8PL, they didn't completely collapse after game 1, and this game lasted like a full 10 minutes longer, right? 10, 11 minutes longer than game number 1 did. So there was improvement game to game. I like the fact that they came into game number 2 with, a very clear plan of what they wanted to do, right? You want to force the engages, you want to hit the back line, have a strong team fight. And they were able to partially execute on that plan. The problem with it was that Gru was completely unbothered, unpressured, unworried in their solo lanes, and the Mordekaiser eventually just scales up and runs away with it all. That being said, though,
Yes, indeed.
big shout out to Big Fella Tommy. Like, huge shout out. That was great. Watching all those death sentences, also watching a lot of critical dark passages to make sure that your teammates don't die. Very well done to the Thresh.
Yes, I will state I love seeing some good Thresh plays, and he was playing the spacing right, dying when he needed to, because unfortunately that is a very common thing that you have to do as support. You have to die for
Mhm.
your laners, separate laners, jungler. You have to die for every single person on your team, and it just sometimes doesn't feel great, but he played it as perfectly as he could, as well as just you got to give Mordekaiser the free range. Very good work coming out from ZZ. Just anytime he showed up, all plans were gone, and he just secured that triple kill in the end that sealed it all off.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, things were a bit shakier from Gru in game number 2, but they do walk away from this series in week 2 here for Draft League with a 2-0. Very solid, very well done by Gru. I believe the
Perfect.
team name is Minions Rise of Gru. But
Yes, I love the full name, and I also love the abbreviation. Just about as perfect as you could get it, especially with the 2-0 victory here for week 2. And with that, do you have any other final notes for us today, True?
no. Once again, big shout out to Ice Fire Eye on holding it down on production once again. So, thank you, Ice. But
And
yeah, that'll
also,
be it for me.
thank you to you, True. With that, I believe that is the end, if I am not mistaken, unless I have any notes from Ice that I need to state. Looks like we are all good, and that will be the end of today. I hope you all have a good rest of your night, and please be ready for the next one. Peace.
brisk, chilling air is calling, and out there we're free to run and jump and live so wildly. Head first we'll go tumbling through places unknown, with nothing but the stars to light our way. And though the sun may set at night, tomorrow looks so bright. 'Cause home is when you're by my side. No matter what we do, together we'll see it through. And I hope that we won't drift apart, even though things change. Without you it's not the same. I know it's true. Life's better when it's me and you.